Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, well, Michelle's excited. She got something to work on her end.
We shall see.
This is such an honor to be with both of you guys. This is amazing.
It's such great timing too, considering all of the misinformation that's going out there in the newsland, in the media world. And I couldn't think of a better person to kind of put it all into layman's terms and explain it to us. But before we get in all of that,
Yeah, we always want to find out how you ended up in Dripping Springs.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, so I've been in Austin for, let's see now, going on 26 years. Came here and attended St. Edward's University and got an economics degree.
Okay.
At that,
where'd you come
wonderful-
from?
I came from Rockwall, Texas,
Oh,
in
okay.
northeast Texas near Dallas. Just outside of Dallas. Little small community.
Hole in the wall, rock wall.
Yeah, hole in the wall, Rockwall, fighting Yellow Jackets, you know? Absolutely. I was there my whole life. So I actually came down here because my dad's got deep roots here. My dad is a sixth-generation Austinite. And I'd looked around different schools, looked at, back then, Southwest Texas, you know, as they called it, and St. Edward's. And at the advice of the family, they said, well, we've got ties to some of the fathers and all of those things in the religious side of things, and so checked out the campus. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Absolutely stunning, and I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to go to that school because it's one of those schools that I think their catchphrase is "learn to think," you know, and so it was really a wonderful foundation for critical thinking and. Really, ultimately, some of those classes really formed me up. I mean, money and banking is one that sticks. A lot of the work that we did at that school was blue book style. I don't know if they still do that, but there was not multiple choices. You'd have to memorize the material and then graph certain elements of money and banking or economic policy. And that stuff stays with me today.
Yeah,
So,
I bet it does.
Why?
Yeah, you have a knack for explaining things that I have not met many other people that have. I'll ask you a question and you just got the right answer.
Why did you choose business finance, or business economics? What gravitated you towards that?
Well, when you get into that field, you're understanding how money flows through our economy. And at the time, I didn't know exactly where I was going to end up on the other side of things after graduating. But it felt like while I was learning about it, that if you understood how money flowed, you could be involved in auto sales or home sales or any sort of high dollar type of industry, and it applies. That sort of information applies, and it's such a dynamic amount of information that you're taking in. You're kind of learning how to slide through different times, different economic elements, different things that are affecting the economy. It's very dynamic. You can use those skill sets through and through in different times of boom and times of bust, and it'll help you understand sort of a roadmap of which way we're going. And for me, that was a pathway to making money no matter where I ended up.
Brandon, were you like this, very cerebral when you were a teenager?
Yeah, I would say definitely always been a thinker.
Yeah.
Always been a thinker. I mean, I cautious also.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You don't strike me as cautious.
Yeah. That definitely thought things out. Definitely cautious. Now I'm okay with taking risks when they're calculated.
Calculated risk, yeah. You have to have pretty good grades to get into St. Ed's, don't you? So were you a pretty good high school student?
No.
Really?
I wasn't. No, I actually had to do a couple do-overs in community college to get into St. Ed's. But that was on my journey away from the Dallas Metroplex here to the Austin Metro. Just had to kind of figure it out. And being with my dad here, he enabled sort of a platform for me to work out, get my body in good alignment. And he was kind of fitting the bill at the time. Yeah. So he fed me really well, gave me an opportunity to start to realize this was back over off 360 in the near Bull Run. You look down on 360 down there, and it's very beautiful. And I realized while driving his Range Rover, I'm like, wait a minute, how am I going to afford something like this? Yeah. So I started thinking, I need to kind of get into this stuff, and so I just fooled myself into loving this stuff at the time, and then it just actually took.
What did your dad do for a living?
Dad's been involved in basically the tech bubble kind of lead up to that stuff. He was involved in kind of in that sector of
The
it.
financing side of all that.
Not really. He's a relationship guy.
Okay.
You know, so he was a mover and a shaker and just kind of a
Putting
broker
people
of things,
together,
putting people
yeah.
together. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you know when you got out of college that you wanted to be a mortgage broker?
Not right away. Not right away. I thought maybe law was going to be a good direction for me. So I talked to some attorneys and
Oh, I could totally see you
I
as
could
an
see that
attorney.
too.
Yeah.
talked to some attorneys, took the LSAT, was actually going to consider going to St. Mary's down in San Antonio. But I had some interesting conversations with some attorneys, and you know, there are people in that space that have to sort of hang up their values in order to make a buck,
I could see that.
and that's no go for me.
Mm.
So one of my buddies who was in physics was like, hey, there's this this program, and it's an executive training program, and you need to check it out. I'm in it right now. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the company called? He said, it's called Countrywide.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Oh,
All right,
oh,
so-
for those that don't know.
Google Countrywide.
Yeah, so that was way back, I guess this was around, I don't know, 2002 or 2003. And so this executive training program, 400 people applied, and 27 of us made it.
Oh,
And
geez.
so, very, very wonderful opportunity. I was able to learn everything about wholesale, retail, and correspondent lending. So, that was based in the Plano area. So I was going right back home for a period. This was a 9-month program.
Oh, wow.
So, learned about underwriting, file stacking, the whole big machine that, you know, when they process loans and service loans, and you see the checks rolling in, and you know how they go through this big machine. It's a wild operation with the receipt of people's monthly
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
principal and interest.
Yeah.
I remember there was a Countrywide over by where it was the Toys R Us.
Yes.
And
yes,
yeah.
That's the first branch I worked at.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
so,
geez.
so I
So-
remember, like, if I was writing the mortgage check, and you know who knew what the mail, I was like, well, just drive over there, and
Yeah.
I could go over there, and I could give him my
Hand it to
mortgage.
them.
I could hand in my mortgage check
Yeah.
over there too.
So
So,
Countrywide was they were a casualty of the 2007 bust. Right?
Yeah, the 0708. And for me, you know, in that space, this was back with subprime, and there was this partition between FHA and, you know, all the loan types that are out there. But you know, it was amazing though, because I could learn what it was to be a broker. I could learn what it was to buy loans from brokers. I could learn what it was like to be at a retail branch.
Yeah.
And so all the sectors were covered. I actually got to do my training for retail in La Jolla, California.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
geez. Oh, nice.
They
digs.
paid for everything. Went out there, learned how to serve.
That wasn't a
little
bad
bit.
little
Yeah,
gig.
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Came back home here to do my my wholesale training. There's some people in the industry still today who I met through that opportunity.
Yeah.
And then wrapped up everything and just decided, you know what, I'm going to go retail. And so I went retail, and I worked in that branch that you're talking about right there by Toys R
Brandon,
Us.
yeah, Brandon, you and I probably interacted
Yeah.
with each
Yeah.
other. You just never know.
You know, it was a very different feeling. Like the relationships in California, there was a bond guy, loan officer, and then there was like a golfer. You know, they were amazing people who were willing to give me all of this guidance and information. And I'm like, I want to be like both of these guys.
But you were a sponge,
wanna-
though, too.
I want to mix
Yeah.
their styles. And then here it was very, hey, this is kind of mine. This is,
Oh.
Texas is a little different, you know,
Yeah.
and so very relationship based, you know, and I learned, okay, so I'm gonna have to go out there and differentiate myself. And so I literally started kind of knocking on realtor doors and walking in the door saying, I know I'm new, I know you've got your relationship, but what do you like about who you're working with, and what do you not like?
Mm.
And I just started to try to sort of build a persona around the positives, and that's kind of how that all started.
I tell you, that would capture my attention, because when somebody comes in and goes, yeah, I know you have relationships with 5 lenders, but let me tell you how I'm better.
That's right.
It's like my ears are shut.
shut.
But if somebody came in and said, hey, you know what, I'm new in the business and I want to learn, I'd be like, yeah, let's sit down for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
That was smart for you to take that approach. Yeah.
Thanks.
I probably had 100 different lenders approach me over the years,
I bet.
and you build up relationships with people like you that
Yes,
you
sir.
know when you send them something, they'll get it done.
That's
But,
amazing.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so then eventually, well, first of all, I want to What's your opinion on the 2007 bust? What was that caused by?
Yeah, really, it comes down to the ability of the secondary mortgage markets to have received a lot of really kind of Wild West innovative products that were good for a while, but they were really high risk.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like driving on a highway that isn't being taken care of, and there's nobody watching the speed limit. Nobody enforcing it. So it was a Wild West timing, and there was a lot of wild stuff going on with mortgages. I think some of the products were, like driving in a car without a seatbelt on that road.
Or a roof, or wheels, or
or a seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people can't help but look at something like a home and say, look, I'll do whatever I can to get into this home.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't know what they're getting themselves into. It's kind of like getting in that car wanting to go fast, not realizing that around the corner you can get hurt if you don't slow down.
Yeah.
And so it really came down to, there was a marketplace for us to deliver really high risk loans. And then in that space, it was hard to tell in terms of how they book loans and how they package them. But they actually trade a bunch of loans. Like, think of like a book, and each page is a mortgage. Well, or I have a better one than that. Think of a swimming pool with a bunch of marbles in them. And your job is to come in and buy this pool, and you're going to play in this pool.
Yeah.
But a couple of those marbles are radioactive. They couldn't tell which ones were. So a lot of what we experienced was the market going, oh, hands off. And that really created a big problem. And it was the worst thing we had seen at that point in time.
I remember in 2006, I built a spec house, and I called up a local bank and I said, hey, this spec house, it was going to be worth $550, and I needed $400,000 to build it. And they said, how much money do you make? And I told them, and they said, yeah, we'll lend it to you. I mean, I think I filled out a basic application, gave them no documentation, and they lent me $400,000. I remember at that point, when that money was in my account, thinking, this is not sustainable. They don't know anything about me. They just asked me how much money I make. It didn't even ask me to prove it. Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff that was going on.
You're exactly correct. Stated income.
Yeah.
So you could tell me what you made, and I could make a loan, as long as you had good credit and 10% down.
Yeah, and that's exactly right.
And so that kind of access created a lot of people. You had trash truck drivers saying, "Oh, I'll make $30,000 a month." So, and
it's
then,
like a HGTV show where they're like, I count crayons for a living, and my budget is $1 million. You're like, what?
Yeah. Well, the other thing we had going on was there were entire neighborhoods, especially here in Austin, where there was big signs out front that said, why rent when you can buy for less? And meaning you could, you don't have to write the first month's rent and the deposit. You could come in with like $1,000 and own a home. And as soon as the market went south, those people said, I only got $1,500 in a house. I'm going to walk away from that.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of.
So no skin in the game.
No.
Yeah. That's another very, very good point.
Yeah.
Those products. It was the loan products, and so having a place to go sell those loans. Really, and then a lot of these companies incentivized us with extremely high commissions. And some of these loan products were they were adjustable mortgages, but you could get a loan where you could pick the payment. It had a 30-year, 15-year, and interest only, and then one that didn't cover the principal and reduction whatsoever. And so it's just building and building. And the idea when they told us to sell this program, they said, well, appreciation will always go up. It will always go 3 to 5%. So they're going to always stay in a good spot, and people don't tend to stay in a home more than about 3 to 5 years anyways. That was the way we were pitched. And then, oh, by the way, we'll pay you 3 points on the back.
Yeah.
So do you think, I think this is the question of the decade, do you think we will ever see 2% interest rates ever again?
3%.
Or 3%, even, or 4%. And do you think there's a possibility that the federal government could ever cap a mortgage interest rate?
I don't know. So first part, I don't know that we'll see 2% again. When we got these 2% rates before, it's because of a global pandemic. That was the driving scare that pushed a lot of money out of the stock market, by the way. And when that money was trying to find a home, Well, a natural place to put that money, because investor dollars they're always chasing a home
Right.
somewhere in crypto or gold, or
Yeah.
they ran over into the safekeeping of the bond markets, and the people invested in the Treasury, full faith and credit of the United States of America, and mortgage-backed securities, and also the Federal Reserve put a lot of money into the bond markets. And so it's a seesaw action of that demand affecting the price of a bond, particularly a mortgage. When that price of the bond goes up like one part of a seesaw, that yield, the interest rate, goes down. And so it would take something pretty wild, again, to push rates that low and have the market not revolt against that. I mean, if you're buying an asset and you want to hold something like a mortgage, think about it. We're at what, 3% inflation today?
Yeah.
Why would I want anything equal to what inflation is tracking at or below? That means that if I'm relying on that fixed income, I can't make a living. I'm not
You're
making
not
enough
even
money to
breaking
cover.
even, yeah.
So we're not in an environment, and the Fed's been chasing one of their mandates is to get to 2% inflation, core inflation. As we sit here today, we're at 3%. So I'm not convinced that we're going to see it anytime soon, and the current kick the can down the road target is 2028, when the Fed's going to think, we're near 2%, but they keep kicking the can down.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that, last week the Fed funds rate, they dropped it 25 basis points, and I heard quite a few people say, "Oh, mortgage rates are going to come down. They're not tied." Tell the listeners about that.
Fed funds rate, very simply put, is sort of a borrowing rate that banks can go and borrow at overnight or in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's meaningful for some of the stock exchanges, for some of the smaller businesses that need capital. It's fantastic for our local banks, where if you're out here in Dripping Springs and we need to go buy a lot and build on that lot, those dollars are cheaper because they are tied to that type
Mm-hmm.
of money. If you have a credit card, or if you're looking for a car loan, those rates fall as well. But mortgages, see, everything I just mentioned, we look at the interest rates on, think of it like, if you remember back in school when you saw a graph, and there was a vertical and a horizontal part, the X and Y axis. And as you move through time, your interest rate for buying some sort of type of asset, like a bond, you should be benefited if you're going to wait longer in time to get that return of your money back. And we call that the bond curve, the yield curve. So as you're moving further in time, and you move to T-bills, and you move into like a 5-year, a 7-year, or a 10-year treasury, you're starting to raise up, because you're going through time, up in that return. Today, the 10 years at 4.1, for example. Well, the other side of that, 15, 20, 30, and mortgages, that's on the longer side of the curve.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So as we move across and over, you should be incentivized to take that risk. And so, I think ultimately what is important to know is that the Federal Reserve affects the shorter end of the curve. They try to influence the long end, but it's not a guarantee. So a lot of people who were paying attention, and they saw that the Fed was going to cut rates. We first started watching Jerome Powell speak on August 22nd, 2025. He was at Jackson Hole.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the moment we finally heard him say, all right, we're flipping from more of a hawkish position or tightening.
Right.
We're going to start loosening up. And he cited the reasons were mostly around the labor side.
Jobs.
So I watched it already bake in, and I watched interest rates affect immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, the long side of the curve, it's the curve. It's not the Fed adjusting mortgage rates. It's the action, pump action, that seesaw action like we saw in COVID. It was action there that immediately started affecting mortgage rates. And what's interesting is at that date, the 10-year Treasury was at 4.3%. By the cut date of September 17th, the market had already priced in, we were at 4.05 on the 10-year Treasury. So there's this saying, you buy on the rumor and you sell on the news. The very next day after the cut, we had this great speech by Jerome Powell that said, hey, well, we're headed to 4.5% unemployment. We're at 4.3 right now. And the reason we're doing this is because we're torn in terms of as a group, which direction we're going to be going. But we have to make a choice, and we feel like this is a risk management tool. So let's go ahead and take the cut.
Yeah.
The very next day, the initial jobless claims or people filing for unemployment, it missed target. So it was contra to the messaging from the Fed. And as I sit here today, almost every single day since the cut, rates have started climbing back up. What terrified me and why I missed our property
Yeah.
was because I saw this exact same pattern last year, and I watched interest rates climb every single day back up to 7%. So I locked everybody in, all of the refinances that were willing to listen, that had gotten into my pipeline as I asked them to. And in front of this, you know, a lot of people have this gambler mentality. Like, you know, they say bird in the hand, bird in the bush. They're looking, they're like, I know I've got this, but maybe I'll wait till we get to 6 or 5.
It might get a little bit better.
It's like a gambler. It's
Yeah.
like, and you
Might
know
get
what?
a little worse.
You know, what if we miss that? And you have these savings that you can take advantage of. I mean, it's unfortunately some people didn't take that advice. Many did. So hats off to them. But yeah, there's no foregone conclusion. I've only seen about 7 opportunities since 2023.
Yeah.
Brandon, what is your advice on someone that did buy or finance at a higher interest rate? What do you always recommend to your clients about when is a good time to refinance?
Yeah, kind of standard answer on that one is start looking at things at about a 0.5% improvement.
And you'll earn it back. If you're planning to stay in your house, what is it, 2 years or 5 years? I couldn't remember what it was.
That's a great thing to pick up on, Michelle. And yeah, yes, ma'am. At the end of the day, there's an actual computation that we're going to do. We're going to look at what your current mortgage statement says in terms of, if you look at that statement, there's going to be a little section that shows the interest you're paying. That's what the wasteful part of your loan rate is, no matter what, whether it's a 4% or 14%. And I'm going to compare that number against the lower refinance number. That delta, that's what you divide into the cost of doing the loan. Because each loan, even refinances, they carry costs, title expenses,
Sure.
underwriting expenses, sometimes appraisals. So all you have to do is divide that savings that you're getting between those two, the old payment and the new one, and it kind of gives you the amount of months that you need to be in that loan to justify doing the refinance.
That's an easy way to do it, yeah.
We can also pull cash out. So people have other reasons. I mean, I have people we're talking to today who have north of 20% on credit cards that are choking them out. And this is a big situation in our country, by the way. There's a lot of credit card debt.
Yeah, I've been hearing that.
And a ton of equity in housing since over the last 4 years, you know, people taking advantage of the opportunities. And so there's a very viable pathway to saying, okay, granted I'm at 6.5% on this new loan and I'm going to be taking out my 4.25% beautiful 30-year fixed. But if you do the math and you have all of this choking debt at 25%, and you blend those rates, we can still find efficiencies in their cash flow. It's more, you just have to kind of open the view of the consumer.
Well, I think consumers, people in general, tend to oversimplify everything and just get it down to really manageable facts, and then that's what they base their decisions on rather than looking at other options. So that was one of the things I've known about you since I met you, is you're really creative. Like, I'll send you somebody and you'll talk to them and you'll give them 5 or 6 options, not just, well, 30-year fixed and blah, 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 blah. You'll say, you know, but you could also do this, and you'll almost interview them about their financial situation. Time. Yeah, I think people need to be a little more open-minded sometimes about other options that are out there.
You think about the trust that people have with their financial planners. Mm-hmm. We're debt managers.
Yeah.
We need to have those conversations in the very beginning and find out what is it that they're really wanting to know or wanting to do, and listen.
Yeah.
And then address those needs, and then open the door once you gain that trust.
Right. What's the biggest mistake when somebody calls you? What's the biggest mistake that you see people making over and over?
Biggest mistake in their finances, or just in general?
Just in general, like you get a phone call, and you know, like for us, if you were asking me that, I would say, as a realtor, it's people wanting to list their houses for more than they're worth. That's the biggest mistake I see. What do you see on your side as a lender?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we were just talking about. I mean, waiting for a rate. The best minds, you know, I've told both of you guys I get up super early, and I research every day. And I pay attention to a handful of really brilliant folks across, you know, different types of platforms, whether it's crypto, whether it's stock market, mortgage-related bond markets. And the worst thing you can try to do is time the market, because you normally find out where that bottom was when you look backwards.
Yeah. It's
You
true.
know, and prices today. I mean, I know we've had a correction in our market. We've got a lot of homes on the market for sale, but to wait for an interest rate that we don't know will be back, and not buy a home at these prices would be a huge mistake.
Yes.
I've been
Oh.
preaching that, Brandon, that,
Yeah.
you know what, this is the best buying opportunity I've seen since probably 2007,
Correct.
2008. Yeah, this prices are as low as they're going to get, and they're only going up. At some point, they may go down a little bit more, but at some point, they're only going to go up from there.
Well, we're also
That's
seeing
right.
a lot of people that are kind of upside down in their homes too, that bought during that COVID boom. You know, they
Yeah.
overpaid, they, over asked, no inspections, no this, that, and the other, and now their home is worth $100,000 less. And
Yeah.
I'm dealing with that with my daughter up in Dallas, not $100,000,
Yeah.
but she's probably with realtor fees and everything else, maybe about $60,000 underwater,
Mhm.
and she got, this is how the builder got her, she got into that, was it the step?
Oh, it's a buy down.
Yeah, the
temporary
buy
buy
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this year her mortgage went up $700, and she was like, "What the heck?" And I was like, "I tried to explain that to you, that this
Mhm.
was going to happen." And so talking to her about, she's wanting to sell next year if the market starts to turn back around, and I'm like, maybe you should look into refinancing and something that it's just a solid, where that payment's going to stay solid. But one of the questions I
Yeah.
have is, when you look at my daughter and her husband,
Mhm.
and they are first-time home buyers, what do you wish that first-time home buyer knew when they were walking through your door to discuss getting whether it's through the builder, whether it's through a mortgage company, whatever it is?
There's so many resources out there. A lot of people are using social media and TikTok to get their information.
Oh, everybody has TikTok degrees now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think the most important thing you can do is, find a great real estate agent and find a great lender, and have those conversations before you go looking. Be prepared with, a pre-approval letter. Ask a bunch of questions. They're going into some of this chat GPT stuff, and this
Yeah.
AI stuff's pretty amazing. Ask it questions in terms of, what do I need to know? I mean, just get educated. Like the most important thing that someone can do that's a first-time home buyer, or anybody doing anything, is just do a little bit of research, here and there. Find time in your day if it's important. I mean, whether it's buying a car or a house, these are big investments, and so nothing's going to be better than that, in my view. And then when you come into that conversation, a lot of people, when they talk with the lender, they're like, "What's the rate?" And I know immediately, okay, that's what they think they're supposed to ask. But have you locked a rate with someone else? Well, no, I'm just checking rates. Okay, well, that's kind of like talking to a pilot and finding out how much they charge.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if they're going
Yeah.
to crash.
That's so true.
You need to know more than just the rate. It's, how experienced is this lender?
Yeah.
Are you buying a condo? Are you buying a barn-dominium? Are you
Right.
buying land? Or a single-family unit?
Yeah, but that's the thing though, that most people are not that, I don't even want to say educated, because they're not educated. They don't spend that much time researching a
Yeah.
mortgage until they need one, and then they don't even know how to start the conversation with you. So they usually start it with,
Yeah.
how much you charge, what's your rate?
Well,
You
we
know,
also have had conversations with, especially like the age where my children are. They're like, "Oh, I just want to go buy some land and build something." Well, okay, so that loan's a little bit different,
Yeah,
and you're going to
that's
have
right.
to have a lot more down, and now you're going to have to, think about building a septic or a well or this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden I'm like, look, these costs are now starting to stack up, and so, yeah, I mean, the TikTok degrees, I think, have been beneficial, but then also very detrimental
Yeah.
to
Yeah, they're
somebody.
looking for clicks and,
Yeah.
and those types of ads.
Right,
and-
yeah, they almost want to do something that's a little bit controversial because
Sure.
that's what gets posted out there. People ask me this all the time as a real
Mhm.
estate broker, but what's your crystal ball economic forecast for the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think's going to happen?
I'm going to record this too.
Say
so
1 year. Say, what do you think's going to happen in the next 1 year?
Yeah, I appreciate that 1 year outlook, and I think forecasting. I've tried to do some of that over the years in some of these types of forums. It's very difficult to
know.
do. So let's just kind of take what we've got in front of us. We've got an administration that has implemented some tariffs. Those are inflationary.
Mhm.
That's helped bump us up from about 2.6 where we were, headed down, back to 3. Inflation is a headwind in the sense that Fed policy, for just in general, is going to be keeping a close eye on that. Tariffs also influence the job market, and we've been watching the job market, unemployment climb. But from the standpoint of how the market reacts to a lot of those things, what I would, if I'm going to give you guys a forecast, based on what I can see, is that it looks like as we make the adjustments for the growth rate of this country, and housing is about 18% of all GDP.
It's a bunch.
It's a $28 trillion economy. And we were growing at 1.4%. We're headed towards 1.6 for the year. That's pretty sluggish, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
With 3% inflation, that's a headwind. And so you kind of look at the market makers. They're looking at where the 10-year should be, where the Fed's talking about bringing themselves from restrictive to neutral. And I think if you do all the math, that puts us right around 6.5% in the next year.
Yeah.
And if we're lucky. There are some other levers that don't require any of the long side of the bond curve that we've been talking about to react. This Treasury Secretary is pretty innovative. He's got some tools that he's working on that if he launches some of these tools into the market, one in particular is called a bit bond.
I haven't even heard of
It's
that.
a treasury that is 10% comprised of Bitcoin.
Oh.
And everybody that's, millennial through my dad is like, what is this thing? But it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the times. And so that could really spur some investment in the bond, the long side of the bond. You just entice people to look into that side. That can affect mortgage rates de facto. There's some deregulation plays that could maybe open some things up. But you guys ever heard of Bill Pulte?
Mm-hmm.
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 Yeah, he runs FHFA, which is
Mhm.
Fannie and Freddie.
Yeah.
So he comes from a builder family.
Yeah,
I was going to
he
say
does.
he comes from Pulte, who
So
Yeah.
built my home.
and I watched a podcast with him in it, and it was just one of those. It wasn't a podcast, but it was one of those little forums where he was interviewed. There are some things he can do within Fannie and Freddie to kind of lighten. We call them hits in the industry, but they're adjustments that are made either upfront in cost or to the interest rate for things associated with credit score, or like a condo versus a house.
Mm.
If they tweak these things for investors or second homes, it could bring those rates down right away. So there's some other tools, and if the Fed were to decide to start purchasing mortgage-backed securities, they are doing some quantitative easing, is what we call it. They're buying treasuries right now. Not a lot.
Yeah.
It's a small number. It's about $5 billion a month. But they're back in the game, and they had stopped at doing that. If they were to get involved, that would help us a little bit. So maybe, if we get lucky, we could be underneath that 6.5 line. But I think with the uncertainty in the Fed right now, and there's a lot of Fed members vying for attention so they can be replacing Jerome Powell.
I was going to
There's-
ask you your feelings on that, and do you think a change in him would be a change in
Yeah.
what we...
Well, I
in our
already
economy?
think that Jerome Powell's sort of a lame duck, if you wanted to call it that. He's on the way out. Everybody knows it. So what he says, he's been criticized for some time, and I think going back, remember the big freeze we had here?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You could see the inflation start to really buzz hot right around that time. And that was in February of, what was that, 21?
I think
Was
it
it
was
21?
21.
Yeah.
Well, that was the beginning, the
Yeah.
ramp up. And they should have caught that, I felt like. They should have started very slowly tweaking monetary policy. If they did that, it would have been more of a smooth turn of the
Yeah.
wheel rather than jerking the wheel, is what it feels like, in some cases.
I think there was some politics maybe involved in that.
I don't think so. There's congressional power and the autonomy of the Fed.
Yeah.
When there's pressure, but his job is secure. He's
Yeah.
not violating anything
No.
legally or ethically. But
And who appoints his replacement?
the president
The president
does.
Okay.
But the president cannot fire him?
That's
Or
right.
Only for cause, right?
Yeah, it has to be some
Yeah.
sort of cause. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So when they've asked him flat out, "Will you consider leaving?" He's like, "No." So it's a one-word answer.
It's kind of like
Do you
my
think he-
position with Steve.
I'm not going anywhere, damn it.
Good luck getting rid of
Yeah.
me.
He's done a pretty good job, though, hasn't he? Do you feel like he's been sort of steady Eddie up there?
I think his background, he's an attorney.
Yeah.
I think, and so I think he's doing the best he can with the panels of information that
Mhm.
they are given. I think there's some very, very deep introspection that needs to be had into those panels. The BLS, Bureau of Labor and Statistic data. I think there's, which, by the way, Trump fired the former commissioner there.
Right.
There's a new gentleman that's in her role now, and I think his name is E.J. Anton. He's an economist.
Yeah.
And so if they look at a different way of weighting some of that material, there's a lot of room to make some logical plays away from what we call birth-death models, from how we weight rents very heavily. I think if you clean some of that up, the reason I say that, and I'm going to just cruise over the top of that, is that a lot of the decisions of the Fed over the last 2.5, almost 3 years have been made after receiving that information and disseminating it. So that kept us from being able to see these implementations and cuts sooner.
Yeah.
And that's a really big deal when you get information and the market's on, for example, last year we had that falling interest rate environment, went to the cut, we got a jobs number that was hundreds of thousands of jobs. When they revised the jobs at the end of the year, the QCW report, there's like 1 million jobs that ever reported. So we were told there was 2 million jobs. There was only 1 million jobs.
Yeah.
And we made decisions real time. I say we, but the Fed made decisions that affected the market, and it's like page 4 of the newspaper when they make these revisions.
It's so it cracks me up. These are not 3% revisions. They're huge revisions.
Huge.
On very important numbers. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
and that's market moving.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course.
Brandon, could you see yourself in any type of federal position, like policy-making position, or as a lobbyist, or even like maybe sitting on some sort of advisory committee? Because you were so knowledgeable, but I mean, I feel like sometimes these people that are making these decisions, like you're right, they don't have the economic background that we should, that are making these big decisions. Has it ever crossed your mind that maybe that's something down the road I'd like to do?
Yeah, it's definitely come into my mind, and where I've begun kind of pursuing that is just with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
So proud to say I'm part of the leadership Group 9.
Good.
Yep.
Oh.
So we just started up. It's a 9-month.
Are you missing today because they're usually on Tuesdays, or is it like
no,
once
I think
a month?
it's once a month. And
Okay.
we had our first 2 meetings.
That's why we
recently.
haven't joined, because we're on our our podcast.
It's a wonderful group. Very excited to be a part of it. And there's an open spot for the economic development position at the Chamber. So going to go through this entire course, so to speak, in this part of the group, and then hopefully I can fulfill that role and
cool.
sit there for the Chamber and be involved in some of the growth and development of our community. That's a good place to begin.
Yeah, start at homes.
Yeah,
right.
Supporting,
absolutely.
yeah. You came in and did a presentation in our office a couple, probably 2 months ago now,
Yes,
and you talked a lot about AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to gather from what you said, you're a big proponent of AI, and it's helping your business. What do you think AI is going to do for my industry, our industry, and your industry?
You're going to be selling pencils on the beach, Mallett.
That actually sounds kind of nice some days,
Right?
Michelle.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Well, we're at the beginning of this, and I want to say that based on real data, there's not a lot of evidence present today that people are losing their jobs to AI yet. So just want to get that out there. I mean, like I said, I read this stuff all the time. But it's really right now. It's such a hot part of actually the S&P 500 market.
Yeah.
Those top 7 to 10 companies, as we sit here today. What's today? The 23rd of September.
Your rapture day,
2025?
by the way.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we may not be here.
Yeah, I mean the market's really, really hot. And when I say market, I'm talking about the stock market, the S&P 500. That's kind of the benchmark. Like the 10-year Treasury is the benchmark for mortgages. We're kind of tethered to that. The S&P, I know that I believe that Trump really looks very closely at the performance of that. And it's pretty heavy weighted in terms of what you look at, how you value. It's pretty pricey, but it's mostly weighted AI.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on at the top end of that with NVIDIA. Oracle is heavily involved in that. And so on one hand, it's probably getting to the point where it's too big to fail because we've invested so much, in terms of this country is investing in that type of future. And so, and it will also require quite a bit of energy.
That's what my husband says. My husband's in
Infrastructure.
semiconductor. He's an engineer. he's like, why am I trying to teach these machines my job?
Yeah.
But he said that the saving grace is it takes up so much energy.
By 2030, it would absorb the entire grid.
Yeah.
That's
Did
what
you
we're-
see that Wall Street Journal article today about AI is producing 95% of reports produced in corporate America now are through AI, and they're calling them, I think it's slop work, meaning it's just a bunch of jargon and not made up words, but they're all put together so that somebody can hand in a report.
Buzzwords.
Yeah, but there's no substance to it, and so
Gotcha.
people are reading these reports that are just.
You and I
Yeah.
talked about this yesterday. We were
Yeah.
talking about a different subject, and I said, gosh, so much of this crap is being AI'd right now. It's like we're dumbing down
Yeah.
our, like, I mean, there's got to be somebody that's inputting that information, right? And so Todd was telling me, like, he really likes Grok because, is that how
Yeah.
you say
Yeah.
it? Because Grok is more the engineering mindset, the
I like
analytical
Grok
side.
as well.
Yeah, that's where he goes to. And then, like, the Chat GPT are more like, for you and I.
For you and me,
Yeah, for
yeah.
you and I, the
But,
Yeah.
but Chat
dumbasses.
is really, really great. And you had asked a question about that, so that was a long way of me getting back to it. So Grok is great, yes. Perplexity is a great version for like a search engine. I use it for that. But Chat I pay for, and within Chat, I have found a way, and I've learned through just some education, some homework I've done, how to create a custom Chat GPT.
Oh yeah, we went to some class like that. Mine talks like a smartass, like I do.
You
Yeah.
taught it well.
I did.
You taught it.
Yeah, thank
it's
you.
all about prompting, but you can build these things, and so I think it's a wonderful thing for our industry in that you can really get really good ideas.
Time
you can
saving.
get incredible review of contracts, and it's not perfect, but I've had it review pro formas that we've built for our development. I've given it prompts to create imagery for things that we're working on. I've been astounded. I've put renderings in that are two-dimensional. I've asked it to recreate that rendering for a property type, because we're building some stuff as well. And show me what that would look like three-dimensional and make it look real. And it just blew my mind.
We did the
Yeah.
same thing. We created Steve as a Labubu.
I got to see that.
I'll show you.
I'm so ashamed the things that I let them do to me, Brandon.
That's what we got out of our AI class.
Oh, man.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to be a good sport around
Yeah.
here, man.
That's
If your
some
feelings
flattery
get
there,
hurt
buddy.
real
I
easy,
love you.
you're in trouble.
It's low key. It's low key bullying, 100% for
Yeah,
sure. So,
yeah.
aside from all of the sounds like math,
I could talk about this
I know
stuff all day with you.
totally. But I want to know, you are a pretty badass guitar player too. And you apparently, didn't you go on tour? It's not Brandon, it's the Patton Sparks, the
band.
Patton Sparks brand. Oh wait, where is it?
Sorry,
Oh,
Patton
it's-
Sparks band.
Sparks Band.
Yeah.
On Spotify.
Yeah, we're iTunes and Spotify. Look at you finding all this stuff.
I know.
out.
Well,
It's
I
unbelievable.
I played a music video yesterday
Nice.
from Steve. So tell me about this. How did you, your love for all of this, where did that come
13 years old. I was back home, and my mom's guy, he's from a little town in Texas called Frost. You guys know where that is?
No.
Near Waco. And he had this left-handed Stratocaster at the house, and he used to listen to Van Halen, George Thorogood, and Steve Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
And I had my mind blown hearing that stuff. So when they'd go to bed, he was a lefty. I'd go take his left-handed guitar. And
Are you a lefty?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No, I just flip it around.
Yeah.
And I'd start picking around on it. It was an electric, like I said. And so I wanted to mimic those sounds. And I wanted to play bluesy Texas-style rock, ZZ Top,
Yeah.
And so I asked for a guitar. He's like, you should definitely start with an acoustic. And I'm like, no way. I want an electric. So I would go in the garage and play in the middle of summer in the heat.
Oh, jeez.
So I could get that echo effect.
Yeah.
The reverb.
Uh-huh.
And I just started, just chasing down songs and just trying to, if you play Loaded and Loud, you'll see that's one of the songs. This is funny. This is at Paradise Cafe. was like my first gig out. So
Is it really? Look
Yeah.
at little Brandon. Look
at
how
that.
young you
Look at
are.
that.
Unbelievable. Not a gray hair.
2011.
Yeah, we're playing acoustics there. It's awesome.
What was the other one? It was Locked and Loaded.
Loaded
too?
and Loud. That's the music.
Oh, Loaded
video.
and Loud.
That
I
was
think
the
I just
one.
saw it.
Yeah, that one right
there.
there.
You go. Okay, let's
Yeah.
see. Here, I'm gonna put it. If you guys watch our YouTube, I'm putting it on our YouTube that you can get to. So I had it on there. This is the one we were watching.
Who
yesterday.
wrote the music?
We did.
Did you?
Yeah, this is our
that's
stuff,
awesome.
man.
So you found a home in country music.
Yeah, because really rock and gospel sort of birthed that country sound, and so that was the beautiful thing about my buddy Josh Patton. He's from is it Lake Jackson? Lake Jackson, Texas, and had a lot of really great lyrics.
Yeah.
And I was able to work with him on taking some of the rock, and you can tell if you listen to the album, there's some kind of 3/4 time, there's some waltzy stuff, and then there's some rock roadhouse
Yeah,
stuff. So we
that's
really
cool.
blended it together.
And there's girls in trucks.
Yeah, that's in Florence, Texas. I'm telling you,
Is it
it's just
really?
on the fly. We were cruising
Oh,
around
look at
looking
that.
for that. Covert Ford gave me that truck to use. Thanks for
Beer
that.
splashing everywhere.
What
still
year
have a
was
truck.
this? 2013.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this was so much fun doing this.
Could you see yourself doing this again?
I mean, no. Around that time, that was 13. I had a child. At the time I was married, and I had a daughter in July of that year.
Oh, yeah.
And so I really wanted to make a run. And my father was always like, look, you need to get that business school stuff done. If you can make it with that, then great. And we were making our way. I mean, we played in Oklahoma, opened for Mike Ryan,
Wow.
in Houston. There was some good stuff going on. Did some South by stuff, which was awesome. Played the State Fair of Texas up there. And
But you had a newborn at home.
But I had a newborn, and one of the bands that I admire, and I've been able to say that we become sort of buddies, is Randy Rogers.
Oh, I love
So,
Randy Rogers' band. Yeah.
Watching him crush it out here across Texas, but he was gone like 270 days
Yeah.
out of the year.
It's hard to have a family.
So it's hard to have a family, and for me, that was something I've always wanted, and I wanted more than one kiddo, and I was only able to be graced with one, and that's all I need. I've got
Yeah.
my wonderful daughter. She's 12 years old now, and
That's
it was
awesome.
at that point I felt like, you know what, we made a few albums, we had a great time playing music, but I needed to be closer to home. So
Yeah.
That follows up on a question I wanted to ask you about being a girl dad.
Oh yeah.
And how do you think it changed your outlook on life?
Oh, man.
Just being responsible. I mean, you're a
Mhm.
good-looking guy. You're not a bad-looking guy. And now you're responsible for a young lady
Yeah.
and showing them how a man should treat a young lady.
That's
And you're a
true.
little intimidated. If I was a 12, 13-year-old boy and I came to your door, I'd be a little afraid.
Oh, I can't wait to be like, you got the wrong door. No, it's truly an honor, right? Like to have a girl. The first thing you think of when you find out you're having a child, is like, okay, well, I'm going to play baseball. I'm going to throw the football in the backyard, and we're going to go hunting and fishing and all this really tough, manly stuff.
Art.
And then
manly
you
stuff, yeah.
realize, oh, you've got a little girl in the way.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tea parties and Barbies.
Uh-oh. And right after you sort of think, okay, I need to make sure I dust off all my automatic weapons and all my shotguns. No, you start to realize it's a huge responsibility, and you nailed it. I get to show my daughter what a real man is.
Yeah.
That's a huge, wonderful opportunity that I have, and it's the best thing I
And
get
no
to do.
apologies. Absolutely no apologies. There's nothing wrong with being masculine nowadays, and I think you own it, and I think you're showing your daughter exactly what that means.
It's confusing, though. Let me tell you, it's confusing. When my daughter was 16, 17, man.
Oh, they're evil. At that
Yeah,
age, they're evil.
I wouldn't say mine was evil, but
Mine was.
gosh, yeah. You'd walk in, big smile on your face, say, "Hey, how you doing? How was your day?" And she'd just start bawling and run up to her room like, "I don't know what the hell's going on here."
That's like temporary insanity.
Yeah, but it's confusing. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing, but it's confusing. So for us guys, we just don't understand what's going on.
I'm just walking in at 12 years
Oh,
old.
yeah, yeah.
Just
This
starting
is
to
where
see
it
starts,
territory. I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
why are they telling me that?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it
yeah.
requires patience, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I have to keep that in mind, is that I'll get her back when she's probably 18. I'll get that.
Oh no! Mine happened
No.
around 21, give or take, and now I have a granddaughter from
Yeah.
this daughter, And she's now saying, she starts to realize, oh yeah, I know I was like that.
Yeah, I got a Father's Day card this year from my 25-year-old daughter that I finally went, oh, she gets it now.
Nice.
So it takes some certain amount of time and some other amount of time, but it is a wonderful thing.
It's the best thing
it's
that
an honor.
I do, and when you guys see me out in the community, I mean at the football game or
Yeah.
whatever, I am 100% dedicated to making sure my.
She's your wife.
That's my wife. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to be an anchor for her for the rest of my days.
Yeah.
That's the whole key.
Yeah.
So,
There's nothing wrong with that. There's
No,
nothing wrong with
I-
making children the center of your world.
No,
for sure.
nothing at all. But part of you being there for her is that you take good care of yourself. You
Yes, sir.
get up early in the morning and you work out. And I read on your bio, this is what you wrote: healthy choices, meditation, exercise.
Yeah.
What do you mean by healthy choices, and what do you do for the exercise and meditation?
Yeah.
How are you taking care of yourself so
Yep.
you can be there for your family?
Yes, sir. Healthy choices is what I'm putting in my body.
Mhm.
The type of food we eat. In my household, it's myself, my longtime girlfriend, and Maya, which we split
Mhm.
time with, her real mother. And it's about eating well, right? Good quality proteins and vegetables. That's huge. Juices,
Yeah.
beets and
I would.
turmeric.
I'd
you know,
starve
like-
at your house,
Yeah.
Brandon. I'd starve. Do you ever buy Lunchable nachos by chance? Because then, okay, then maybe.
No,
You're gonna find those at
we
Brandon's
don't.
house.
We try to stay away from processed and stuff, but so it's about that and good hydration. But for me, I'm kind of a creature of habit. So getting up early in that 4 o'clock hour, having a coffee, super quiet. I can go do all of that research on the market for the next hour and a half, and then if she's with me, I wake up at 6, kind of get her started, and then it's workout from 6 to about 7:30. Which when I wrap up the workout, some of the best time of my day is being out there on the back. I live out here in Belterra.
Mhm.
Got the green belt back there, and I can sit back there, look up at the clouds, do some breathing, some Wim Hof breathing. I've got a sauna back there for the days I'm going to do that. I've got a cold plunge for the days I'm going to do that. But that's where I'm grateful. I express gratitude. I can do some breathing, and that's the most clear part of my day, where I'm not inundated with all the buzzings
Yeah,
of the
it's
world.
before all the crap starts.
Exactly.
It's before all the fires start popping up. I'm with you. Yesterday I know where you live. I ran in front of your house at 5
I know.
o'clock.
Steve's
in the
like, I
morning.
know where you live.
Yeah, I know where you live. But you do. I know exactly that you have a really nice view out the back of your house.
Yes,
I can
sir.
find that peace in that too. So.
Yeah.
Do you have some?
I
rapid
do.
fire?
I have a couple of little rapid fires for you.
Nice.
So, audience cheering or rates at 3% again?
Our rates at 3%.
No. What would you prefer?
What would you prefer? The audience cheering Brandon as you're playing that guitar and there's some
Oh,
girls in a truck, or the rates at 3% again?
I'll take the rates.
Oh, take the rates for sure.
We need that right now. That'd
Yeah.
be great to have that.
What? I'm gonna
Okay.
interrupt you. What were you thinking when everybody 2 years was going, date the rate, meaning?
I still think that was probably sound advice, because look at if you're grabbing property today, and you're saying a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Date the rate, marry the house.
Yeah.
I've restructured debt forever. I guess refinances is a common part of what we do. Getting that home, sometimes I've got a client that they were really gunning for a property in Georgetown, and I didn't realize, and this is quite far away from us, but that property was off the market for 21 years, and in a matter of days, it's back under contract. And they missed it.
Yeah.
But so that if you think about it, we do this for a living.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like whack-a-mole.
Mhm.
Property's up and then it's gone, and you don't really realize how that process works unless you're in it.
Yep.
You see these beautiful homes on
Mhm.
the internet and all that, but stuff's there, and I've been in my house for 10 years now. It's a great spot. It's harder than it looks to get that right spot.
Oh yeah.
So marry the home.
Yeah.
Date the rate, because you can always refinance.
Yeah, that's right. You
Find
can
the home
change
that you
it.
love. That's
Yeah.
my
Do you
point.
ever walk in some of those really, really fancy homes now and go, damn, I bet the taxes are insane.
That's what we do.
Because
we
we're
do
in the
that.
business, it kind of
Yes,
ruins,
it ruins it.
Yeah, when you're just a person out looking at cool houses, like,
Yeah.
oh, I could totally live here, and I'm thinking, damn, taxes are.
What's the
15 grand
I
upkeep
know.
on
a
this
month
one?
on this
Yeah,
thing,
that's
yeah.
what we do. What's on
Yeah.
that property tour? Okay, so if you could play guitar in any band, living or dead?
Man, probably the Eagles.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a good one.
Answer,
Good
Brandon.
answer.
Good answer.
Okay.
How many awesome guitarists are in that band? You know,
Yeah,
anyways, like
yeah.
playing off of each other. Yeah.
That's a good answer. What is your go-to workout jam?
Oh, you ready for this? Pantera Cemetery Gates.
Oh my god.
I don't even know that one.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to play it.
That one is awesome. And
Pantera
Pantera. You never go wrong with Metallica, but that stuff gets me going. Like that'll get me going. You'll like that stuff. It's heavy, but I like it.
I'll listen to it. Mine, when I'm getting ready for a race, I listen to
The Carpenters.
Shut up. Oh, you suck.
Captain and Tennille.
It's a long way to the top by AC/DC. Do you know that?
Oh,
one?
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a great song.
Fantastic.
It never gets old. I can just loop it like 4 times and
I know,
just
I can
never
hear it in my
gets old.
head.
with the bagpipes.
Or it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
cheer up, sleepy. Okay. My
No,
last question
That's a good song, man. That's
yeah.
cool.
is, you mentioned in your bio, your dream is to sell everything and just, I'm paraphrasing, to sell everything and just roam around. Where do you want to eventually roam and end up at?
Great question. So once Maya is out on her own, sell the beach house, sell the house here, get a big tract of land with a big, beautiful river and blue hole on it out west, somewhere near Lake Erie, Concan. Something where I can go, you know, if I want to get some turkey for Thanksgiving, I can shoot it on my own property. You know, axis deer run rampant out there. So some topography, and you know, the history of Texas is so amazing with the Comanches and how that whole thing was with, you know, even our county, Hays County is you know, named after one of the original Rangers, Texas Rangers. And so, you know, getting out west a little bit and then having one of those awesome sprinters that's all decked out, you know, and then maybe what's that stuff, the OnStar, not OnStar, it's what's the satellites that
The Tesla satellite?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
then
know.
just shoot around Texas, go to White Sands, you know, just kind of flow. And then, you know, have enough money to where if we want to pull in somewhere, we could private jet somewhere.
Oh,
that's-
okay.
okay.
All right. Well,
So
we
like
know what you're
completely
gunning for. Yeah.
moving around, but I need a spot back here, my piece of dirt in Texas back home. I need to
Home
have that.
base. Yeah,
Because
you
you're a
gotta have
Texas
that.
boy at
That's
heart,
right.
for sure.
Yeah,
Can't
I
do it.
have clients that they're retired and they bought a really nice RV, and their plan was to RV for the rest of their days.
Yeah.
And they did it 3.5 years, and they were like, "We got it out of our system." I just sold them a house about a week and a half ago. They were like, they said it was really romantic for about 3 years, and then it just got kind of old.
Yeah.
You got to have the home base.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Brandon, for coming in here. We really appreciate it. And you are kind of one of our go-to guys when we're
Amazing.
talking about what's going on in the market. And we also appreciate you on Dripping Springs Elite Real Estate
Yeah.
Professionals. You are one of our our advertisers, and you also sponsor the bus, the property tours that we
Yeah.
go on. So if you ever see us driving around town, I think it's the third Thursday.
Yeah, we've only been doing it for 7 years.
Yeah, I
so
can't
we're good.
remember.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Well, Michelle and Steve, thank y'all both so much for having me. This is amazing and so much fun.
I've enjoyed having you here. Every time I see you on tour or run into an event, I always love talking to you because you always have a good update. You're not just the normal, you know, this, that's a 6.5%. You always have a good insight, and I always appreciate that. So,
Thank you, sir.
well, Brandon Sparks, everybody, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, good job, man.
Nice.
That was a half hour or an hour. I got to
That
get
went
your
quick.
pictures. Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
oh yeah,
We could
picture,
go-
and
I
then we're
could
gonna
go